Hey YouTube, it's Justin, aka Demonic Sweaters, here with another Alesis Nitro programming tutorial. This tutorial, like all the others, will work on Alesis Surge as well. They are the same exact module, just different drum set. What we're going to be doing today is simulating the drum sound off of Weezer's famous Blue album, which you can see back there behind me. And this is a really great album. It's one of my all-time favorites. It's a 90s indie classic, basically created a whole subgenre of, pop, indie rock type stuff with guitars. It's just a really, really great album. But this was a request from Fatches Fallout. I believe I'm saying the name correctly. I could be wrong. But anyway, this is one that I said I'd do a while ago, and so I'm finally doing it today. But I have some sad news for you guys. I'm really sorry, but this is going to be the last Alesis Nitro tutorial because I've since moved on to playing a different electronic drum set. And I'm actually not even going to be hooking this one up to drums today. I'm just going to be programming it all with my hands and then running some MIDI through it to get the sounds so we can hear what it sounds like. But you can still do what I'm doing on your module at home. I'm actually going to be selling this module for a really good price. You can check my reverb shop down below. There'll be a link and you can pick it up there if it's still available. Before we get started, I just wanted to mention that today's video is brought to you by PureVPN. Now, internet privacy is a big concern these days. There's a lot of talk about Google and Apple and Facebook and Twitter and all these companies having too much power, tracking you wherever you go. It's really kind of just a strange time we're living in. So if you want to browse the internet 100% securely and privately without trackers or people being able to figure out who you are and all that stuff, check out PureVPN. There's a link down below. And if you click that link down below, you'll get a great deal on annual subscriptions as well as monthly, and whatever you can afford. They have a lot of options for everybody out there. So PureVPN. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started on this tutorial. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. So I'm just going to start off using the built-in kit number 1, and let's start off with that bass drum. Now the bass drum on the Blue album is a very distinct sounding bass drum, and that sounds kind of close already actually, but let's mess with it a little bit. It has a lot of attack, but there's, it sounds actually like it's tuned quite low. So what I want to do is actually go in here to voice, and I'm going to leave it on that particular number, but then I'm just going to go to pitch. I'm going to pitch it down. Yeah, let's do about 4 down. And I think that should be good. Now let's move on to the snare drum. Snare, I want to select a different snare altogether. So let's go back to the voice selection by pressing voice until you see number. Also, before we move on, actually, let's get rid of that reverb on the bass drum, because that sounds like way too much. Let's just put it down to 0. Snare 2. Okay, so go back to voice, and 54 sounds about right. Now for the rim of the snare, I'm actually going to set that the same, because the drummer for Weezer almost never hits rim shots. He's almost always strictly hitting in the middle of the drum. So it should sound pretty much the same on both. Now if you have your snare pad as your ride, like I used to do, then you can program this when we get to the ride section. Okay, that sounds pretty good. Crash 1 sounds good, actually, pretty much fine. Crash 2, never crazy about that particular crash sound. So I'm going to change that one to 226 as well. And it is pitched lower than Crash 1. So let's just look at the pitch. Pitch is -2. Pitch for Crash 1 is set to 1. That sounds pretty good. We'll work on those toms here in a second. Okay. Ride is, well, Sorry, I'm jumping around all over the place. Let's stick with the crashes for now. And let's look at our panning. So let's go into pan. Let's do -3 on the left crash and +3 on the right crash. Ride is good at 2. Kick and snare should both be 0 for panning. And I want to bring the snare up a little bit. So let's go to voice, keep pressing voice until you see volume. And 31 sounds good. Kick drum is at 29. Crashes are both at 28. All right, that sounds pretty good. Okay, so let's work on some toms. Now those toms sound way too prog rocky to be Weezer. So tom 1, let's set that to something a little bit, oops, wrong button. Let's go back to number, NUM, and select a tom voice. Well, okay, let's go back. That sounds too much attack on those. Nope. Well, we might have to go back with what we started with and just use lower pitches. Maybe change the EQ a bit. Okay, let's start with number 115 then on tom 1. And let's go to voice and then get to pitch. And let's pitch it down 8. Now let's go to tom 2. Also pitch it down 8. Pitching them all down 8. Now, tom 4 you probably don't have. That's the add-on. But the drummer for Weezer always just played a 4-piece anyway, so really it's just going to be tom 1 and tom 3. And usually he tunes them pretty low, and they're not super loud. So let's go back to utility. Oh, oops, sorry, not utility. Voice. Go to volume. Let's set the toms down to like 25 each. That sounded pretty good. Now, last thing is the hi-hat. Oh, no, I didn't talk about the ride yet. But the ride, it's fine. He has a pretty standard, normal-sounding ride cymbal. Which the default ride on kit number 1 is that, pretty much exactly. It just sounds like a medium Zildjian or something. So let's just leave the ride how it is. And now let's work on our hi-hat. So hi-hats. Oops, wrong button. Let's go back to voice. Where is it? There we go. No, that's volume. I keep passing it. Oh, there we go. So, probably you only have a few hi-hat groups here to choose from. And as I said many times, the Alesis Nitro hi-hats don't sound that great. But the trick is just to make them low. So I'm going to go with hi-hat HC number 2. What happened? And I'm going to pitch it down. Well, first I'm going to turn it down. Let's turn the volume down to like 13. At least. Maybe lower. 12. That sounds pretty good. So, hi-hat group 2, and then volume is set to 12. Panning, let's set the panning a little bit to the left. Like 3, minus 3. And I think we're pretty much done. That's pretty much it. So let's save it. Let's go to save. And I'm going to save it on user number 28 for me. Doesn't matter where you save it as long as you don't overwrite one you already did. And that's pretty much it. I'm going to put together some kind of music. And maybe, well, I'm not sure if I'm going to hook it up to my drums yet or not. Probably not. I'm just going to program some drums. So let's go ahead and I'll just put something together and you guys can hear what it sounds like in context. That's going to be all for the Blue Album programming tutorial. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below. And if you subscribe because of these Alesis videos, please stay subscribed because there's going to be all kinds of electronic drum content to come. There's a lot of tips you can learn just by seeing what other people do with their electronic drums, as well as my acoustic drums too. I also post like a lot of recording tips and a lot of just music-related content in general. So please stay subscribed and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys really soon. So thanks for watching, everybody, and have a great day. Later.